Hey there tech fans, Rick here again from the Array team. In today's video, I'll show you how you can easily use the new ToVi X1 system to share all of your media content with multiple remote locations at the same time across your entire network. The new ToVi X1 solution from Array provides a really easy way for you to create a flexible and expandable AV over IP solution for sharing all of your media content that's totally software defined. And what that means is you can instantly set up relationships between the encoder and decoder modules to simulate many AV products that are typically dedicated. For example, today I'll show you how to set up an HDMI switch, an HDMI splitter, even an HDMI matrix, where you can share that same content with multiple remote locations by simply creating that relationship. Now, as part of this overview, I'll start with a basic understanding of what components are included in the basic setup, and then I'll walk you through the graphical user interface and show you how you can discover all the modules on your network and how to set up those basic relationships. I'll do a quick demonstration as well to show you just how easy this solution will be to use, and then I'll come back one more time and point out some of the special features that the new ToVi X1 solution provides. Now, to get started, I want to show you the components that are available as part of the ToVi X1 system. To start with, you'll find an advanced encoder and a standard encoder, an advanced decoder and a standard decoder, a network control hub, and a PoE switch. Now, the encoders connect to the media devices, and they're responsible for turning that HDMI content into a network signal that can be distributed across the network. The encoder modules turn that network signal back into an HDMI signal for display on a monitor at those remote locations. And the difference between these two encoders, both of them support high-definition media content, and they're both HDMI 1.3 as well as HDCP 1.4 compliant, which means they're plug-and-play compatible with all of your modern media equipment. But the difference between them is the advanced encoder and decoder also provide KVM functionality, which allows you to plug a keyboard and mouse in at the remote location to remotely control a computer at the primary location. They also provide local loopback at the primary location that allows you to continue to enjoy the content here while you're sharing it with your network connections. And both of the encoder and decoder pairs provide audio extraction capabilities where they can digitally separate the audio from the media that you're displaying and allow you to pass that along to a soundbar or home stereo for that full theater experience. The network control hub hosts the software that actually defines the relationship between the encoder and the decoder, and the network control switch, which is PoE capable, provides power to all the modules and handles the backbone connections between these different modules. Now, if you stay tuned next, I'll walk you through the graphical user interface and show you how to discover the modules and how to create those basic relationships, and then I'll do the demonstration and come back one more time and point out some of the special features that the new ToVi X1 solution provides. To get started, connect both encoder modules, both decoder modules, and the network control hub to your PoE switch and power everything up. At this point, you can simply open a web browser on any computer connected to the same network and navigate to IP address 169.254.8.100, which is the IP address of the network control hub. And once you do that, you'll be greeted by this welcome screen for the graphical user interface. Here, you can enter your credentials and click the login button. Now, the first time you power up the system, that network control hub is unaware of any X1 modules that are connected to the network, so you'll see this wizard screen that will actually start the search to find those modules and add them to the system. And that's a great way to set up the system the first time you use it, but I want to show you a more manual way to do it in case you decide to add modules later on. So the first thing I'll do is close out of the wizard and confirm that I don't want to use the wizard. And that'll bring me to the main page of the graphical user interface, which provides all the control I need over the relationships between the encoders and decoders. And along the left-hand side, if I hover, you'll see various tabs that are labeled device and matrix and video wall and user and controller settings. These first two help you establish the relationships between the encoders and the decoders for distribution of your media content. So I'll stay in the device tab for now. And on the top, you'll notice there are 0 encoders and 0 decoders that the system is aware of. So the first thing I'll have to do is to search for those modules. And if I scroll down a little bit, under Device, there's a tab labeled Search Device via Wizard. And if I click that, it'll perform the same function that the initial wizard would have done if I had clicked Next on that first screen. And it's going to search the network and find any X1 modules that are connected. So let me click that, and I'm presented with 3 choices. Whatever it finds on the network, it can automatically manage it by the controller box, or I can put it in DHCP mode where it's going to find an available IP address to assign, or I can actually assign a static IP address to all the modules. I'd like everything to be managed by the control box, so I'll select that option and I'll click Next. Now it's searching the network for any module it responds to an X1 command, and it takes a few seconds to do this, and then when it finishes, it'll come back and give you two choices. I can automatically add anything it found to the system, or I can just list them. Well, at this point I want to add them to the system, so I'll click Next, and then it'll confirm, do I want to stop searching and add them to the system? Yes, I do. Now watch closely at the top of the screen. You'll see immediately that it found 2 encoders and 2 decoders, and it took a second, but it's actually filling in the information for those modules it found. And on the encoder side, we've got a standard encoder and an advanced encoder. If I click on the decoder tab, I'll find a standard decoder and an advanced decoder. And I can actually at this point start assigning those relationships. So if I go to Matrix, here are the 2 encoders and here are the 2 decoders. Now what's interesting is I can create various relationships between these 2 media streams and my output displays by simply dragging these to the displays. So if I'd like to have the top monitor display this game console, I just drop it over and drop it, and that'll show up on the top monitor. If I want the same thing to show up on the bottom monitor, I can drag it and drop it over there. I also have the option to drag one of these to this slot right here, which will distribute it to all the monitors. So what I'm showing you here is the ability to create both an HDMI splitter, an HDMI switch, and an HDMI matrix by simply dragging my media content to whatever display I want it on individually, and instantaneously it changes to display that particular media stream. And it's really just that easy to set up these relationships. Now I'll show you just how easy it'll be to use the ToVi X1 system for creating a variety of different relationships between the encoder and decoder modules for distributing all of your media content across your entire network. And for this demonstration, over here I've set up 2 small media players. One of them is displaying an image of a game console, and the other one is actually looping a video. And that's the media content I'd like to share with my network. I've also set up an advanced encoder and a standard encoder, and both of those are connected to the media devices. Over here I've set up 2 monitors that represent 2 different remote locations where I'd like to enjoy the content from that primary location. I also have an advanced decoder and a standard decoder connected to these monitors. Now right now only the top monitor is connected. Now the first example I'd like to show you is an HDMI switch relationship. Both of these are connected to media devices with a single decoder connected to that top monitor, and right now I'm displaying an image of a game console, but all I have to do to switch between those 2 media streams is to drag the other input over to that display, and it instantly changes. So what I've done is set up a software-defined switch over here that can easily move between the 2 media devices to send that content to this remote location. Now I'd like to show you how I can set up an HDMI splitter relationship by simply connecting the second monitor up to the advanced decoder. And once I do that, the bottom monitor becomes active, and I can drag the same content to that monitor, and you'll see it displayed there in a second. So what I've done just by dragging the content to that second display is I'm now sending the same media stream to both monitors at different remote locations in the network. And now I'll show you how you can create a matrix, because a matrix allows you to send either one of the inputs to any of the outputs at the same time. And I can do that by simply dragging that second input to one of the monitors, and you'll see it'll switch. Or I can send it to both monitors if I want by dragging it over here. So it gives me complete control over where that media content is sent across the network by simply dragging the image across to the display that I'd like it shown on. And that's because this entire network is software defined, and all of it's controlled by the software in that network control hub. So it's a really easy system to create these virtual relationships between the encoders and the decoders, again, for distributing all of your media content. And it really is just that easy to get it working. I hope that walkthrough of the graphical user interface and the demonstrations were helpful in showing you just how flexible this new ToVi X1 solution from Array really is. And because it's software defined, you can instantly set up different relationships between the encoders and decoders to simulate a lot of dedicated AV products like an HDMI switch or a splitter or a matrix or even a video wall controller at one of the locations where you can send a media stream to that location and have multiple decoders there that will break that video stream into multiple parts for display on individual monitors to create a gigantic video wall. And the best part is, you can have all of those relationships active at the same time on the same network. The unit fully supports high-definition media content, and it's both HDMI 1.3 as well as HDCP 1.4 compliant, which means it's plug-and-play compatible with all of your modern media equipment. The advanced encoder and decoder provide KVM functionality that allows you to connect a keyboard or mouse up at the remote location to remotely control the computer at the primary location. The advanced encoder also provides local loopback functionality, which allows you to continue to enjoy the content where the media is located while you're simultaneously sharing it with your network connections. Both the encoders and decoders, both the standard and advanced, provide audio extraction capabilities where they can digitally separate the audio from the media that you're displaying and allow you to pass that audio along to a soundbar, home stereo, or other amplifier system for that full theater experience. And the best part is, the entire solution utilizes the very latest in power over Ethernet technology, which means the minute you plug these into a PoE-capable switch, the power required to operate the modules is sent over that same LAN connection, which eliminates the need for a power supply at each of the locations and greatly simplifies your wiring. And the best part is, everything in the system is controlled through software on the network hub that you can access through a browser on any computer on that same network by simply navigating to the IP address of the hub and then opening the GUI, and you'll have full control over your system. Everything you need to get started is included with the kit, and with a few simple connections, you can be up and running in no time. So until next time, thanks again for watching.